Są nowe zasady, słuchajcie, Game Awardsów 2024, obejrzyjmy to.
Hey there gamers, Dreamcast Guy here, and today we're talking about the Game Awards because it seems like the entire internet is very much expecting this year to be a dumpster fire. Now, the last couple years, the Jeff Keighley Game Awards have been incredibly bad in my opinion. Now, it's not a secret, I've talked about this in multiple videos. Every year, I like to live stream the Game Awards and then do like a video after talking about the parts that I thought were the best. But I just feel like this last couple of years, it's become such a crappy copycat of the Oscars. We've got Hollywood celebrities and movie trailers and stuff, drunk Al Pacino, barely able to read a teleprompter to say which game won. Stuff like that I feel like is deeply disrespectful to gaming in general, right? The gaming industry is the biggest art form on the planet. It makes billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. But it's also the best stories. It's stories where we get to be the hero, where I've openly wept at some of the most beautiful moments in video games. And the fact that it's just being derided and downgraded as this coattail riding secondary form of art to Hollywood, it's always been a bit of a mess. But last night they announced something truly baffling that people are still kind of reeling from. They said anything could be Game of the Year award. Anything. An expansion, a season, a DLC, a remake, a remaster, some random freaking mobile game. Anything can be in any category. And people are not just confused, they're actually mad.
Nie, to jest głupie w chuj, bo to doprowadzi do abuzowania tego systemu. Czyli wytworzysz fajną grę jak Elden Ring, będziesz jebał do niej DLC-ki tak co roku, żeby co roku się znaleźć w tym, żeby co roku znaleźć się w Game Awardsach, bo wiadomo, że fani Elden Ringa zagłosują na DLC do Elden Ringa. To jest głupie w chuj.
But let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video.
To totalnie nas zatrzyma przed jakimkolwiek postępem, przed robieniem nowych gier. Czyli teraz remake'i, remastery, no i gitara.
A like and subscribe if you haven't already. So, we're going to go through this, but the replies are pretty much people just saying this is all a big ploy to get Elden Ring to win again. Shadow of the Erdtree was a very big DLC. People loved it a lot, but this is such a weird message to put out. The Game Awards, expansion packs, new seasons, DLCs, remakes, remasters are all eligible in any category if the jury deems the new creative technical work to be worthy of a nomination. Now, the way the Game Awards actually works, they're revealing their nominations for the categories on Monday, and people are probably, let's just say, skeptical as to the value of these entries. But the way it works is that essentially, whenever you're trying to submit stuff to the Game Awards, there are a bunch of journalists. There's like a big team. There's different units, different websites and stuff, and they all have a nomination. They all say, okay, here's what we think is the best music, the best fighting game, the best indie game. And then everybody comes together, they tally the points, and whatever gets the most points wins, right? But I still think the idea of that isn't the problem. It's the fact that this sounds like, why are we even having categories if anything can be anything, right? Last year there was a bunch of...
Czemu nie ma na przykład kategorii, skoro remastery są popularne, to czemu nie ma kategorii remaster roku?
Controversy because an indie game
Rozszerzenie roku.
won best indie game. Oh wait, it wasn't an indie game. Some random pixel game made by a billion-dollar company won best independent game. Best ongoing game last year went to Cyberpunk. People keep talking about the fact that best ongoing game going to Cyberpunk 2077 makes no sense. Like, I love Cyberpunk 2077. Phantom Liberty was a very...
Kurwa, no nie, no to prawda. Best ongoing game to nie jest tak, że Cyberpunk jest cały czas rozwijany i ma cały czas dokładany content. On był naprawiany.
good expansion, but that's not an ongoing game. That is specifically a category that's supposed to be about, I don't know, ongoing games. Games as a service stuff that isn't complete trash, like No Man's Sky completely rebuilding itself and releasing like 20 free expansions, or Fortnite Zero Build actually bringing Fortnite back to its roots. You know, stuff like that that is not just fun and cool, but shows actual effort from the developers. And so giving it to Cyberpunk, that is good DLC. It just feels like a really weird choice to say, yeah, all these categories don't actually matter. God. People are making jokes all over this. I want to look at a bunch of the jokes. So people are like, okay, so can we nominate the Xbox port of Death Stranding? Oh yeah, by the way, this is Blue Sky.
Ej, bez kitu, co z portami gier? Nintendo przeportowało tego Mario 64 na Switcha. Może jego też znominujemy.
I'm on Blue Sky. Everybody's moving over to Blue Sky. It's basically Twitter without the bots. So if you use Twitter, if you want something that's not Twitter, you could follow me. But
Co wy gadacie, że jest że jest nowa platforma, która odchodzi od Twittera?
Here was my sort of estimation. These are the games that I hope win a lot of categories, but I don't know if they're going to. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astrobot, Metaphor Refantazio, Black Myth Wukong, Balatro, and something like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, or Tekken 8. But I did see a lot of people saying that Black Myth Wukong and Stellar Blade, it feels like a lot of journalists are scared to talk too positive about that, and since this is done by gaming journalists, there is a good chance those won't be as many categories as we perhaps hope. I think those games are both really good. Maybe they're not Game of the Year good, but they're ones for me. I did see even different people that are on panels that do actually have some skin in the game. Like this guy here, he works for, I don't even know, I think he works for RPG site, but essentially he's saying, okay, look, I'm one of the people on a team that deliberates nominations for the Game Awards, and I have to say, this being outlined underlines that last year, the fact that Phantom Liberty wasn't nominated was an absolute joke. A lot of people are basically saying, this just makes Game Awards in general look...
Kurwa, ale wiecie co? Najlepsze jest to, że każda gra może być grą roku teraz, ale to my wybierzemy, które 5 gier może być grą roku. I to my... przyznajemy głosy, bo to my posiadamy 90% mocy głosowania jako twórcy Game Awardsów. Ja pierdolę, tu taka korupcja wychodzi, że wiadomo po co to jest zrobione. Wyobraźcie sobie, no okej, idąc z tym tokiem rozumowania, że faktycznie każda gra mogłaby być grą roku, no to gracze by się wkurwili i by zagłosowali na DLC do Vampire Survivors i chuj, nie? Każda gra może być grą roku, ale nie Wukong, bo jest z Chin i tam i nie może być nominowany, ponieważ nie posiada inkluzywnych wątków. Może być DLC, może być port, może być remake, może być remaster, ale nie nowa gra, która wyszła w tym roku, sprzedała się zajebiście, tylko dlatego, że pochodzi z Chin.
Bad. Like, look, Shadow of the Erdtree being eligible for Game of the Year is stupid. It's my favorite release of the year. I still don't feel like this should count in this category. Almost everybody is like, okay, why? I feel like DLC should be included. It's still software and it's still art. However, it's telling that when it's time for Miyazaki's game, which is Elden Ring, to get nominated, they immediately get this codified. When it qualifies as a fighting game or an indie game is up for interpretation. This is such a good point. So for the last couple years, stuff like Smash Brothers was not allowed to be best fighting game. That was called as like best game for kids. Whereas actual fighting games, they're very wishy-washy about which games are allowed. Best sports game is always like a weird mix. Like Tony Hawk wasn't allowed to be best sports game, but like a racing game was. The part of the problem with the categories, I feel like, is you need some guardrails. The fact that Jeff Keighley just says everything is everything, it makes it more boring for people to watch. Like, how can these categories be by nomination only? I feel like there has to be some sort of rules, some sort of guidelines. Like, to make an Oscar comparison, I don't watch the Oscars a lot, but there's that movie, The Martian, right? Very cool movie about Matt Damon getting stuck on Mars and he has to live on Mars for a long time, right? Well, when he does that, that got nominated as best comedy. What are the point of these categories if they make no sense? Like, what are you even going to do if you make a deep, heartfelt drama and you win best comedy, or you make a badass technical fighting game and it wins best racing game? Could the judges just be silly and nominate stuff to insane stuff? It just seems like there's no actual rhyme or reason other than what Jeff Keighley, Mr. Game Awards...
Moim zdaniem to jest dla nich całkowicie wygodne, że wszystko może być wszystkim, bo i tak oni finalnie wybierają. Zastanówmy się, czy pozwoliliby, żeby wszystko mogło być nominowane, gdyby głosy leżały w naszych rękach. Ja wam odpowiem. Nie. Ale czy wszystko może być nominowane, gdy to oni decydują? Tak.
Thinks is best. Look at this. I understand that it's all hypothetical. I understand that we'll probably never see a literal remaster for Game of the Year. But yeah, honestly, if an expansion or DLC, no matter how good, it should win, or if it does win, we are cooked. Game of the Year should embrace new standalone titles. Hotter take is even a remake winning is tenuous with me. Rebirth only qualifies, which is FF7 Rebirth, only qualifies for me because of how much brand new video game is there. I just feel like gaming in general is such a weird thing because it's hard to rank it in the same way that we rank other pieces of art. You know, because of our interactions with it, you can play a game that's too hard or too long or too good or too bad, and it will influence how you view it, right? It's not the way you could judge a painting or judge a movie or judge an album. Art is always subjective, but I always felt like video games are the most subjective because it is based on us. Your input, your interactions, your feelings going into the art can so heavily influence the positive and negatives you take out of it. And I do feel like the general way we rate games in general is already kind of a difficult situation, but then getting a bunch of people from different websites to come together and rank the best game of the year, it always felt weird. Like, Xbox Era is going to have a bunch of games that they think are awesome that are usually very Xbox focused, whereas PlayStation Universe is going to put forward a bunch of stuff that's very PlayStation focused. I mean, not always, but that's the way it kind of shakes out sometimes. And it kind of makes me laugh, the idea of what if it was like this for freaking Oscars? What if each of the different, if there were like websites, MCU only, and they were voting on the best movie of the year, and they're like, hey, it's WandaVision, or hey, it's, I don't even know what the heck Marvel movies are coming out now, The Marvels. Oh God, I am seeing so many people just being like, bro, this is just an excuse to make The Last of Us Part 2 remastered win again. Obviously, this person's joking, but oh my God, people would like literally be setting the freaking arena on fire. So funny they can't allow themselves to vote for lesser known titles. The Game Awards are such a joke. To be honest, I forgot Shadow of the Erdtree was even released this year. Not saying I didn't love it, but there's so many amazing games out, I just overlooked it. I do think that...
Ja całkowicie szczerze uważam, że to jest niesprawiedliwe dla innych nowych gier, które wyszły w tym roku, że przyćmie DLC do Elden Ringa. Takie głupie. I mogą sobie firmy siedzieć teraz na dupie, wydawać kolejne DLC-ki albo remastery do Last of Us. No, czy remaster do The Last of Us ma jakikolwiek podjazd do czegoś, co faktycznie wyszło nowe w tym roku? No przecież to jest idiotyczne.
Industry in general, this is not like a shocking statement. I do think they are lacking originality, right? Especially from the Sony side. I love PlayStation, obsessed with PlayStation. I get my platinum trophies. I love buying the newest PlayStation games and beating them. But Sony's constant remakes, remasters, re-releases, and stuff like that, it's a weird thing to see. And the idea of everybody betting on nostalgia, everybody just rewarding the same titles, the same names again and again and again, I think it's going to become the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail of, okay, after a while, companies are going to be afraid to invest in smaller ideas because, oh, this isn't Game of the Year material. Oh, we can't bet on that. We can't do this. We can't do that. How sellable, how recognizable, how interesting and comfortable will people be to even try this? Sometimes I randomly think about a game called That Dragon Cancer. It is a game that I cried the entire way through. It is a game about a father whose son gets fatal cancer, and the kid's whole life he's just battling cancer, and you play as the kid in a storybook the dad has written for the kid about him battling cancer. We must fight that dragon cancer, and it's a beautiful, beautiful game. And I think about art like that, in that video games can do something that I feel like other mediums can't. I'm sorry I'm being such a sap. I love that game. I just think it's such a powerful piece of art. But I I just feel like video games do stuff that other art forms aren't. And I get annoyed the fact that we don't champion stuff big and small. A lot of times it's that the biggest, craziest, loudest, most marketed games always rise to the top, right?
To prawda.
But I feel like video games are more than that. Video games are better than that. These are just some off-the-cuff thoughts, though. How do you feel about the Game Awards, and what do you want to win? What do you want to get all of it, right? What's your favorite game of the year? Also, if you want, feel free to go follow me over on Blue Sky. You guys rock. I'm about to have Thanksgiving at my house, so I got to get ready. I got to cook a pie. And by cook a pie, I mean take the pie
Nie
that I
no, w tym
ordered.
roku, gry roku, Balatro, Steral Blade. Ja nie przyjmuję nic innego do tego, że to wygra. Balatro, Steral Blade, totalnie.
Get out of the fridge so it's thawed. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to
No.